What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker here on Unique Access, and today we have the privilege, the honor, and the joy of being joined by Hi-Tek. Thank you for coming through, sir.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Man, always a pleasure to see you.
Yes, sir.
So, obviously, in the top of 2016, you had a big song coming out with Anderson Paak.
Word.
So, first of all, congratulations on that. So,
Thank you.
how did you get down with Anderson?
He actually reached out to me on Twitter. You know, I get a lot of messages.
Right.
You know, a lot of people just due to my work, they just want some Hi-Tech heat.
Right.
And
As
Anderson,
they should.
Anderson hit me up like, yo, let's do something. I'm at the end of my album. Only got like a week left to finish, like a couple weeks to finish the album, something like that. And I was like, cool, what you looking for? And this is all through Twitter, mind you.
Like DMs or?
DMs.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was like, I'm looking for like a devil's pie type of joint, like where it was just like drums and bass line, like raw. And it was weird because I really was working on this idea for the last 7 years. This bass line, I had this bass line. I was like, yo, this bass line is the shit. I know this bass line. I just got to find the right drum pattern for it. So every so often I go back to the idea. And but like 2 weeks prior to him hitting me, you know, I had found the pattern. Like I got the drums right and I had it. And he was like, I wanted a devil's pie type of joint. He was like, just like drums and bass line. And it was weird because that's what I had. I had this groove with this drum and bass line. So I sent it to him. That's the only track I had sent it to him. He didn't really hit me back for like a month.
Okay.
So one night he just hit me back and was like, yo, I'm working on your joint tonight. And after that, the rest was history.
And then who came up with a title for the song?
He did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he kind of led me to finish the track also, because initially I had just the drums and bass line, and we would converse back and forth. And mind you, we never got on the phone, not one time during the whole process.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it felt like we was in the studio together, because we were really communicating. And he had sent me a rough of the vocals. He sent me like an idea, and it inspired me to add more sounds. And I was like, what else you thinking? You know, he gave me some ideas. I just started working on it. And I mean, really, I don't even think we ever spoke on the phone until like I met him in person. I just think him being like a breath of fresh air and me doing what I do just helped it bring me back to life. If you've been missing some Hi-Tek production, Anderson helped put me back on the map.
And now the song is being used in commercials.
Oh man,
everything.
It's going crazy. Yeah.
So what do you think it is about it that makes it so special?
You know what, man? It's called genuine art, passion.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I have been working on that groove for 7 years. That's called passion. You know what I'm saying? Like bass line, like I thought, you know, and it's really based off of like an Israeli national anthem.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was the melody inspired me initially. Okay. You know, I'm melody driven.
Right.
You know, but I think the success comes from, you know, Anderson just being in the zone of being a genuine artist himself. Artist brings it out of the producer.
Right.
You know, we didn't even have to be on the phone. It just took his passion and re-inspired me to add more to the track. Okay. When we did that track, it reminded me of the process of Quality and Mos Def. When I met those guys, they already had a vision and a drive of what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And they would take some of my scrap tracks and make them songs. And that kind of reminded me of, Anderson reminded me of that.
So speaking of Quality and Mos, especially Mos, since he's kind of disappeared and had all these travels and different things going on with him.
Yeah.
What, because I do want to ask you more about Snoop, but Mos, while you're thinking of it, is like what, given that he's kind of disappeared in a lot of ways, like when you were around him and you were working with him and getting all this material out from him, like what do you remember thinking about Mos Def that made him so special as an artist?
The energy, man. Just a special guy. Like I don't know what planet he's from, but you know, just the inspiration you get from somebody's energy. Okay. The energy that they bring to a session. Just the charisma.
Okay.
Not thinking so hard, you know. Even when we was doing shows, like, you know, we'll have our set, killing it, people love it, but you know, when Mos show up, it's just his charisma. And he had the same energy he would bring to the studio.
Oh, really?
So, and just like his idea, like Black Star was his idea. The single, the Definition single, using the BDP sample, that was his idea. So he sent me back home with that assignment, and I knocked it out.
Knocked it out the park.
Yeah.
But one thing that I've always marveled about what you've been able to do is, obviously coming out with M.A.A.D initially, which had like a kind of Wu-Tangy East Coastish sound, but then you go to work with all the ruckus dudes, and you're from Cincinnati.
Right.
And then you kind of morph into doing all the stuff with Snoop, which then leads into doing a lot of stuff with the G-Unit, Aftermath, camps and everything. So for you, most producers and most artists in general not only don't stay around that long, but then also aren't able to kind of walk in all those different worlds at the same time. Because at the same time, you were doing stuff with Common and different people.
Right.
So all that being said, how do you think musically and creatively that you've been able to walk all these different worlds and be successful in all of them?
A young chameleon adapt to any circumstance.
There you go. I heard somebody rap that once.
Oh yeah.
Who was that?
Yeah, I mean, I always challenge, like, we always, artists, producers, we in it to battle.
Right.
We all battling each other. We inspired from each other.
Right.
And one of my weapons, and I feel as a sword, is to be able to be so versatile. And I think that's due to me growing up in the Midwest and growing up on some of the things that I'm inspired by may not technically be my sound.
Okay.
So I grew up on a lot of soul music, being around moms and pops, but, being in the Midwest and Cincinnati, like, the clubs that I go to, while we was playing, you got like Master P, Gucci Mane,
A-Ball, MJG,
A-Ball, MJG, but coming up, hip hop as a whole, we were getting a hold to things being from Cincinnati. We was listening, like my CD rack was probably like WC in the Mad Circle,
right?
Tribe Called Quest,
right?
Ice Cube, EPMD.
Well, this is something that we talked about because I'm from Maryland, and I remember when we were first talking and meeting way back in the day that since neither one of where we're from had its own like real rap sound,
right.
We listen to everything.
We listen to everything.
And that's something that really helped me as a journalist, as a writer, is that I loved all types of rap. And I know for you, clearly that made a big difference too.
Most definitely, man. Like, I think that's where I'm most inspired, and I'm able to kind of like, kind of nail it to like actually conquer what I'm trying to do in a genuine way, because it is genuine. Like, I really love these different styles of artists, and being able to work with Snoop. I mean, first and foremost, being a fan, but also Snoop was like one of the first bigger name artists to come to my hometown. Like, he came all the way out to Cincinnati in my small studio. It was like, what up? I mean, he came out with the whole crew, and I mean, from that point on, it's like just inspired me, to kind of, he taught me a lot just in those few days that he was out there.
Well, what did he teach you? Break it
He
down.
taught me how to, at the time, he taught me how to just let the music flow.
Okay.
Which was a lot of people sit there and overthink. They might listen to a beat for 2-3 hours and sitting there writing it. And by that time, you kind of lose the vibe and the energy.
Okay.
So I watched him run through like 3 and 4 songs at the time. We were just like letting it flow. And I learned that at the time. And that kind of comes from what we were doing too. Like when I was working with Kweli and Mos, it was that in a sense, but sometimes when you get around bigger name artists, you kind of didn't think they had that same process. So he kind of brought it back